The sun was hot over the dry desert. The sky was wide and empty, with no clouds in sight. The wind carried sand and dust, swirling it around like tiny storms on the ground. Eli lived alone in a small wooden house near the edge of the desert. He liked the quiet and didn't want company. People in the town said he was strange. But Eli didn't mind. He had his books, his tools, and the silence one day just before sunset. Eli was fixing the fence behind his house when he heard something. It was soft at first, like a whisper in the wind. Then it became a strange sound. Like a groan or a cry, he stood still, listening carefully. The noise came again, this time clearer. Someone or something was in pain. Eli walked slowly toward the noise, stepping over dry rocks and dead bushes. He reached the edge of the road, and what he saw made him stop. Lying face down in the sand was a creature. It had smooth blue skin, long limbs, and silver hair that shimmered even in the dust. It was not human. Eli's heart pounded. He had never seen anything like it before. Was it dead? Was it dangerous? He stepped closer and saw that the creature was breathing, but weakly, blood, dark, purple, and thick. Was on its shoulder. Something had hurt it, maybe badly. He didn't know what to do. He could walk away. Pretend he never saw it. That would be safe. That would be easy. But Eli couldn't move. The creature's hand twitched in the dirt. As if asking for help, Eli sighed and ran back to his house. He returned with a bottle of water and a clean cloth. Slowly, carefully, he poured water into the creature's mouth. It swallowed it fast, like it hadn't had water in days. Then it opened its eyes, silver, glowing, afraid but thankful. It didn't speak, but it looked at him with trust. Eli cleaned the wound as best as he could. The creature flinched but didn't resist when he finished. The alien reached out and touched Eli's wrist gently. For a moment, Eli felt a strange warmth in his chest. Then the creature closed its eyes and fainted again. Eli dragged the body under the shade of a tree and covered it with a blanket. He didn't know why he was helping. Maybe it was the way it looked at him. Maybe it was just the right thing to do. He didn't sleep that night. His eyes stayed on the sky. Strange lights flashed far in the distance, red, green, and white, moving fast, faster than any plane. He felt something was watching, waiting. The wind outside howled louder than usual, and the sand beat against his windows like fists. Something was coming the next morning. Eli woke up early and stepped outside. The desert was quiet again. Too quiet, even the birds were silent. He went to check on the creature. It was still there, still breathing, but weaker. Eli brought more water and bread. The creature sipped slowly, its hands shaking suddenly. The ground shook a little, not much, but enough to make Eli freeze. Then he heard a new sound, deep and heavy like thunder. But the sky was clear. He turned his head toward the horizon and saw them. A long line of creatures, tall and proud, were moving through the desert. They were riding massive beast-striped, powerful tigers with golden eyes and armor on their backs. The sand swirled around their feet as they marched in silence. There were at least 20 of them, maybe more. Leading the way was a woman in bright gold armor with sharp eyes and glowing tattoos on her face. They stopped right in front of Eli. The woman stepped down and looked at the injured alien. She knelt beside him and whispered something in a language Eli couldn't understand. Then she stood and turned to Eli. Her voice was soft but strong. "You saved our prince," she said. Eli blinked, confused. "I just gave him water," he replied. The woman smiled, then nodded to the group behind her. 2 more riders stepped forward. Between them walked a girl, tall and elegant. Her face was covered with a soft red veil. Her hands held a small glowing orb. The woman said, "You gave life, so we give honor." Eli stepped back. "What is this?" he asked. The woman pointed at the girl. "This is Leora, the bride of the flame," she said. "She is now yours." Eli's eyes widened. "Wait, what?" "I didn't ask for," but the woman raised her hand. "It is done," she said. The girl lifted her veil. Her eyes were bright, filled with mystery and something more. "We are bonded now," she whispered, and in the distance, the wind carried a strange music through the sand. The sun was rising over the desert, painting the sky in orange and gold. Eli stood frozen outside his small house, his heart pounding like a drum in front of him. A strange army moved through the sand, leading massive striped tigers that looked like creatures from an ancient dream. Each tiger wore armor made of dark metal, and each rider wore robes and jewelry that shimmered under the morning light. Eli rubbed his eyes, thinking maybe he was still asleep. But the ground still shook under his feet, the scent of dust, heat, and something sweet filled the air. It was real, all of it. The alien woman in golden armor stepped forward again. Her eyes were calm but sharp, like she was ready for war and peace at the same time. Behind her, the strange alien Eli had saved the night before was now standing. Weak but alive, he was leaning on two guards, but his face was clear, proud, and glowing with blue light. "You gave him water," the woman said to Eli. "You touched his life when the stars had nearly left him." "I just did what anyone would do," Eli replied, his voice unsure. "I didn't know he was your prince." The woman smiled slightly. "Few would do what you did," she said. "That is why we are here, from the line of riders." The two guards returned, this time walking beside a girl wrapped in deep red cloth. Her face was hidden behind a soft veil, but her walk was graceful, her steps like music in the sand. She carried a glowing orb in her hands. It pulsed like a heartbeat. The woman turned and gestured to the girl. "This is Leora Flamebonded, first daughter of the Draxan Moon tribe," she said. "She is yours now." Eli's breath caught. "Wait, what do you mean mine?" he asked, taking a step back. "I didn't ask for this. I don't even know what this is." "It is our highest gift," the woman said firmly. "When someone saves the blood of our line, we offer our own. It is a bond of honor, a future, of light." The girl lifted her veil slowly. Her face was soft but strong, with glowing lines across her skin like tiny stars. Her eyes, silver with a touch of violet, looked straight into Eli's. Not with fear, but with quiet knowing. "We are bonded now," she said gently, "by choice, not force." Eli didn't know what to say. He had spent years alone, fixing fences, reading old books, avoiding the world, and now an alien tribe had arrived at his door with giant tigers and a bride. "I'm just a guy," he said quietly. "I live in a shack. I don't even have running water half the time." Leora stepped forward. "Then we will fix the water," she said with a soft smile. Her voice was light, but something in it made the wind pause. Like the desert itself was listening, Eli looked at her, then at the others. One of the tigers came closer, sniffing his hand. Its eyes were golden and kind. It didn't growl or show teeth. It simply sat down beside him, like a guard choosing its master. The woman in armor raised her hand. The riders dismounted, setting up strange silver tents around Eli's land. Fires were lit. Songs began to rise, soft and rhythmic, echoing across the sand. That evening, Eli sat near one of the fires. Leora was beside him, telling him about the stars, her people, and something called the Great Turning. She said dark things were coming from deep space, creatures that ate planets and erased memories. Eli listened, trying to understand. "Why tell me this?" he asked. "I'm not special. I'm not a soldier or a hero." Leora looked at him, her face serious now. "You have the spark," she said. "It is rare, lost among most humans, but it burns in you like a beacon." Eli shook his head. "I don't even know what that means." "You will?" she whispered. Soon, later that night, when the fires burned low and the desert wind grew cold, Eli walked alone toward his shed. Something inside pulled him there. Like a string tugging at his chest, when he opened the door, he froze. On the ground sat a strange object, glowing faintly. It was a metal cube, smooth on every side, humming softly like it was breathing. He reached out and touched it. A shock ran up his arm, not painful, but powerful. The cube opened, showing a pulse of light. Images flashed in his mind, stars, battles, and Leora's face. Eli dropped the cube, breathing hard. Something deep inside him had just awakened. Outside, the tigers growled low. And Leora opened her eyes as if she had felt it too. Far beyond the stars, something else stirred. Something old, something watching. The desert had changed overnight. Eli's quiet world was now filled with glowing tents, alien songs, and warriors riding tigers. Smoke from their fires rose into the sky, carrying the scent of herbs and spice. Eli walked through it all like someone in a dream. He was no longer alone. But he still didn't understand what any of it meant. The Draxan tribe worked fast and with purpose. They cleaned his land, repaired his broken tools, and even dug a fresh well in just one day. Eli's home had become something else, something alive. He wasn't sure if he liked it or feared it. Leora stayed close to him, always watching, always calm. She moved like she was part of the wind, quiet, flowing, but never weak. She taught him small things first, how to greet her people, how to read simple symbols in their language, and how to feed the giant tigers. One of the tigers, a dark one with silver stripes, had already chosen Eli. It followed him everywhere. Like a shadow with teeth, one evening, as the sun dipped low, the tribe gathered in a circle. The warriors stood tall, their faces painted with glowing dust at the center of the circle. The tribe leader, the woman in gold armor, stepped forward with a heavy bowl made of stone and crystal. "Eli," she said, her voice ringing like a bell, "you gave us life. Now we return the gift." Eli hesitated but walked into the circle. The tiger walked beside him. Silent but alert, Leora stood behind him, her face soft with pride. The leader dipped her fingers into the bowl and marked Eli's forehead with a symbol. It glowed blue for a moment, then faded. "You are now a protector," she said. "You carry the right to stand between light and darkness." Eli didn't understand all of it, but he nodded. Something inside him felt different. Like a door had been opened, the tribe cheered in their language, their voices rising into the night sky. A drumbeat followed, slow and deep, like a heartbeat of the earth. Later that night, Leora sat beside him by the fire. "You still don't believe it," she said gently. Eli stared into the flames. "I don't think I'm meant for this," he said. "I fix fences, not fight wars." Leora looked at him with kind eyes. "You fixed more than a fence," she whispered. "You healed a prince and gave hope to a dying people." Suddenly, a sharp whistle rang through the air. The tigers roared, and the tribe jumped to their feet. In the distance, shadows moved quickly. Too many, too fast. Bandits, drawn by the lights and sounds of the camp, had come to steal and destroy. Eli stood, heart pounding. He had no weapons, no training. The leader shouted commands. The warriors moved like wind and fire. Tigers charged, claws flashing, teeth bared. One of the bandits ran toward Eli with a blade. Eli froze. But the silver-striped tiger leaped between them. Knocking the attacker down, Leora raised her hand, and a burst of light shot from her palm, blinding to more enemies. Eli picked up a long staff lying nearby and swung it with both hands, hitting a bandit hard enough to make him flee. The fight ended quickly. The bandits ran. chased by tigers and glowing arrows. No one in the tribe was seriously hurt. Eli's hands shook, but his heart was alive. He had never felt this way before. Not even once in his quiet life, the leader came to him after, looked at him for a moment, and said, "You stood your ground." Eli didn't reply. He just nodded, feeling the bruise on his shoulder where the fight had touched him. Leora came to his side and placed her hand over the mark. Her fingers glowed faintly, and the pain faded away. "You were brave," she said softly. "I was scared," Eli replied. "Good," she said, smiling. Only fools are never scared. Later, when the stars returned to their places and the tribe rested again, Eli walked back to his shed. He stared at the strange, glowing cube still resting on the floor. He picked it up carefully. It pulsed softly, like it recognized him now. When he touched it this time, it opened again. But the images were clearer, faster, this time. He saw a great storm in space, a black swarm moving through galaxies. Consuming light, he saw planets falling into silence, and a voice whispering, "They are coming." Eli dropped the cube. Breathing hard, his hands were shaking again. But not from fear, from knowing. From deep in his chest, something had awakened. Not just courage, but purpose. The wind outside howled, and the stars above him seemed to blink faster. He stepped out of the shed and looked at the sky. He knew now this was not just about a lost alien or a strange tribe. This was something bigger, and somehow he was at the center of it. Eli sat alone with the cube in his hands. It was warm now, almost like it was alive. The surface moved slowly, like liquid metal trapped in a solid shell. Each time he touched it, he saw more, felt more. But this time, it was different. When his fingers brushed across the edge, the cube glowed brighter than before and opened like a flower made of light. A beam of blue light rose into the air, and inside it, shapes began to appear, stars spinning, planets falling, ships breaking apart in the dark. Eli's breath caught as he saw a wave of shadow sweeping across galaxies. Swallowing light, life, and memory, he could feel the fear of millions. The silence that followed after the darkness passed over them. Then a voice filled the air. It was deep and clear, not male or female, but something in between. "The mind swarm is rising," it said. "They feed on thought, erase worlds, and silence all who stand in their path." Eli stepped back, but the light followed him. The cube floated gently from his hands and hovered in front of his face. "You carry the spark," the voice continued. "You are the last chance for balance, for survival. What do you want from me?" Eli whispered, "To choose." The voice replied, "To stay and hide, or to rise and protect." Then the light faded. The cube shut itself, and the desert returned to silence. But inside Eli, nothing was silent anymore. The next morning, Eli told Leora what he saw. She listened quietly. Her eyes locked on his face when he finished. She did not look surprised. "The cube is a star memory," she said. "It holds truth from long ago. Truth only given to those who carry the spark." "You keep saying that," Eli said. "What is the spark? Why me?" Leora knelt in the sand and drew a symbol with her finger, a small star inside a spiral. "Long ago," she said, "humans were part of the great web. They walked among stars, helped shape peace between worlds. But then something happened. The spark faded from Earth, lost in wars and fear. But if we had it," Eli asked, "why did it disappear?" Leora looked up, her eyes glowing softly. "Because your kind forgot to feel, to connect, to protect not just your own, but all life," she said. "But sometimes it returns to one who chooses kindness over fear." Even in the smallest way, Eli remembered the moment he gave water to the dying alien. How small it had seemed then, and yet, here he was, surrounded by warriors and secrets, chosen by a cube older than Earth. As they spoke, a scout rushed into the camp. Dust flying behind him, he dropped to one knee and spoke in the alien tongue. The leader's face grew dark. She turned to Eli and said, "The mind swarm is near. They have found this place. How?" Eli asked. "I thought Earth was hidden. The cube was silent for years," Leora said. "But when you touched it, the signal lit up. Like a flare in the stars, the tribe began to move quickly. Packing, preparing, the tigers growled low, sensing the change in the air. The sky turned pale, and the wind picked up. Carrying whispers of danger, Eli stood in the middle of the chaos. Unsure what to do, Leora took his hand. "There's still time," she said. "We must prepare the humans. They don't know what's coming." Eli frowned. "They won't believe me. They barely believe the sky is blue some days. They will believe what they see," she said. "And they will see fire." That evening, Leora took Eli to the edge of the desert. There, hidden in the rocks, was a small alien craft, shaped like a teardrop made of stone and glass. It rose at her command and opened its doors. "You must go to the town," she said. "Speak to your kind, warn them, bring those who will follow. Leave the rest." Eli nodded, fear pressing heavy on his chest. "What if they laugh at me?" "Then you leave them to their laughter," she said. "You carry the spark, and the spark follows truth." Not applause, the ship took off gently, guided by thought. Eli watched the desert shrink behind him. The glowing tents, the giant tigers, the strange stars blinking above. He looked ahead toward his town, the quiet streets, the familiar faces who had no idea what was about to arrive. As he flew, the cube pulsed again, not with fear, but with purpose. It whispered one word into his mind: awaken. The town looked the same, but something felt different. Eli stepped out of the alien ship and onto the quiet main street. The sun was just rising. Painting the rooftops gold, birds chirped. Dogs barked in the distance, and the local diner was just opening its door. No one knew that the sky above them had already been marked by something watching, something coming. Eli walked quickly. His heart heavy, he passed by Mr. Garrison sweeping his porch, the kids riding their bikes to school, and the sheriff's truck parked near the post office. Everything looked so normal. Too normal, he wanted to scream, to grab people and shout, "They're coming." But he didn't know if they would believe him. He stopped in front of the town hall and took a deep breath. Inside, he found the mayor and a few townsfolk chatting about a waterline project. When he burst through the doors, all eyes turned to him. "You need to listen to me," he said. "We don't have much time." They stared. Confused, the mayor frowned. "Eli, what's wrong?" "Something is coming," Eli said. "Not from another state, but from the stars. I saw it. I've been with them, the aliens. They're not here to hurt us, but something else is. Something worse." The room filled with silence. Then laughter, someone said. "Is this a joke?" And another whispered, "Too much sun." Maybe. Eli's face turned red. "Look up," he said, pointing toward the window. "Just look." At first, nothing happened. Then the sky changed, high above. Clouds twisted unnaturally, turning dark purple and black. A deep humming sound filled the air. Then, without warning, the first ship broke through the clouds. It wasn't smooth or shiny like the alien crafts. It was rough, sharp, and alive, like a giant insect made of fire and metal. Behind it came more, 10, 20, maybe 50. All in strange formations, moving like a swarm. Screams echoed through the town as people ran outside. The sky was on fire. Streaks of red and black smoke trailing behind the ships. The sheriff tried to call for help, but his radio burst into sparks. The streetlights exploded one by one, and the wind howled like a wounded animal. Eli stood in the center of it all, unmoving. His cube floated out of his pocket and hovered beside him, glowing. "This is it," he whispered. "They've found us." One of the swarm ships lowered slowly over the fields beyond the town. Long dark limbs extended from its body, drilling into the ground like claws. Then came the soldiers' creatures made of shadow and steel. Walking without sound, their eyes glowing red. Their faces had no mouths, only masks that pulsed with energy. Panic broke loose. People ran in every direction. Eli shouted, "Get to the school basement. It's the strongest building." The sheriff nodded and started pushing people toward safety. The mayor, pale and shaking, followed just when it seemed like the town would be overrun. A deep roar echoed through the sky. Eli looked up and saw hope. Tigers. Dozens of them leaped from the desert ridge. Glowing eyes locked on the enemy, their riders followed. Dressed in armor, weapons drawn. The Draxan tribe had come, the battle had begun. The ground shook as tigers collided with metal. Leora appeared beside Eli, her hands glowing with light. "You made them believe," she said. "Barely," Eli replied. "But I'll take it." He grabbed a metal staff from a fallen Draxan and ran toward the center of the fight. One of the Mind Swarm soldiers turned toward him. Raising a glowing blade, Eli ducked and swung the staff hard. Sparks flying as it connected. The creature fell, but more came. Leora moved like fire and wind, shooting blasts of energy from her palms. Her tiger leaped through smoke, tearing enemies apart. The townsfolk watched from windows, some crying, others praying. But a few grabbed tools, bats, anything they could, and joined the fight. The air smelled like smoke and burnt metal. The ground was stained with strange blood. Eli fought side by side with Leora, their movements in sync. His arms burned, his legs ached, but he didn't stop. Not now. Suddenly, a familiar voice called his name. Eli turned and froze. Standing across the fire was his old friend, Mason. But something was wrong. His eyes glowed red. His skin was pale. And wires crawled across his face. "Mason?" Eli called out, "Is that you?" Mason tilted his head, the mask on his face clicking. "I remember you," he said, in a voice not fully human. "You should have stayed hidden, Mason." "It's me," Eli said, lowering his weapon. "We can fix this. Whatever they did to you." But Mason raised his hand and fired a blast of red light. Eli rolled away just in time. Leora pulled him behind cover. "He's gone," she said. "They took his mind." Made it theirs. Eli stared at the fire, his heart breaking. "Then I'll get it back," he said. I swear, above them, the Mind Swarm ships circled again, and the cube pulsed louder, as if counting down. Asterisk smoke still hung in the sky as the fires slowly died. The town looked like a war zone. Buildings cracked, windows shattered, the ground covered in ash and broken metal. But the people were alive, many because Eli stood between them and the enemy. He leaned against a wall, chest rising and falling with each breath. His hands were cut, his body bruised. But his spirit was burning like never before. Leora sat beside him, her robes torn and her arm wrapped in cloth. She looked at him with tired eyes, but a small smile played on her lips. "You are changing," she said softly. "I'm surviving," Eli replied. "That's all I'm doing." "No," Leora whispered. "You're waking up. The spark is showing itself. It was sleeping inside you, but now it wants to shine." Eli didn't understand it, but he could feel something during the battle. There were moments where time seemed to slow, when his body moved without thinking, when he felt the heartbeat of the tiger beside him, when the cube seemed to guide his hand before danger came. It was like something ancient was remembering him. The Draxan tribe began tending to the wounded, helping the humans without question for the first time. The people of the town didn't look at the aliens with fear, but with gratitude. Children stood near the tigers, reaching out to pet their fur. Some of the braver ones even climbed onto their backs, laughing as the beasts rumbled softly. But Eli's thoughts were with Mason. His friend was alive, but twisted. Controlled by the mind swarm, his voice had sounded wrong, like it was layered with another, colder voice. "They took him," Eli said. Staring at the ground, I saw it in his eyes. "He's still in there." Trapped, Leora nodded. "It is not easy. But sometimes it's possible to reach inside and bring back what was stolen." "How?" Eli asked. "I don't have powers like you. You do," she said. "But your power is not in your hands, it's in your heart." She led him to the center of the camp, where the tribe had formed a circle. The cube floated above the ground, spinning slowly. Warriors stood around it, chanting in low voices. Leora stepped forward and placed her hand on Eli's chest. "Let the spark answer," she said. The cube flashed and sent out a wave of light that hit Eli like a storm. His knees buckled and he fell into darkness, but not fear. In this darkness, he saw things, visions of ancient humans walking among stars, helping alien worlds, healing the broken, speaking with beasts and machines like they were family. He saw the spark, not as fire, but as a connection, a thread between all living things. When he awoke, the sun had risen again. The tribe stood in silence, staring at him. His hands glowed faintly. His veins pulsed with soft golden light. He looked down, confused and afraid. "What did you do to me?" "We helped you remember," Leora said. "This is your true self, Eli, not just a man, but a bridge between worlds." Eli looked at his hands again, and this time he felt it, a pull, a rhythm, like the heartbeat of the earth itself. He touched the tiger beside him, and the animal looked up with calm eyes. They were connected, not by voice, but by feeling. But there was no time to rest. A signal came through the cube, a message in Mason's voice. "Broken and cracked, Eli," it said. "They single quotes, me. But I see you. I remember the stars. Please, end it or save me." The message faded, and silence followed. Eli clenched his fists. "He's calling for help," he said. "I have to go to him." Leora stepped forward. "It will be dangerous," she said. "He's part of the swarm now. Their nest is not far, but it is guarded by machines and minds that feed on fear." "I'm done being afraid," Eli said. "If I carry the spark, then I'll use it." A group of Draxan warriors volunteered to join him. The tiger with silver stripes walked beside him. "Ready?" Leora touched Eli's arm. "If you fall," she said, "the spark may sleep again." "Then I won't fall," Eli said. "Not until I bring him back or burn every last shadow in that nest." The group rode through the ashes, heading toward the distant hills where the sky still flickered with dark lights. The battle ahead would not just be about saving a friend, but proving that even in the darkest place, the human heart could still shine. And as they rode, the cube pulsed softly, whispering an ancient word across the sand. "Remember?" The wind howled across the desert as Eli and the warriors rode into the hills. The sky above them flickered with strange lights, dark clouds swirling like a storm held back by invisible chains. The silver-striped tiger carried Eli with silent strength, its golden eyes locked on the horizon. Behind him rode Leora and the strongest of the Draxan tribe, weapons glowing, hearts ready. They were heading toward the swarm's nest, a place no human had ever seen. It sat in the cracked earth like a wound in the land. Black towers rising like thorns, pulsing with red light. Machines moved along the ground like insects, and in the air, small drones buzzed. Watching, waiting, Eli's mind was quiet. But inside his chest, the spark burned brighter than ever. It didn't feel like magic. It felt like truth. Like everything was finally connected: his fear, his hope, his past, and the strange future pulling him forward. He remembered Mason's voice from the message, broken but still calling, and he knew he had to try. They reached the edge of the nest just as the ground began to shake. The swarm had seen them. The towers pulsed faster, and the sky turned red. Machines with blades and metal arms rushed toward them. The battle began in a storm of fire and light. Leora moved like a flash of stars, throwing waves of energy that blasted the enemy away. The tigers roared and leaped through the chaos, claws tearing into steel. The Draxen fought with blades and strength, their movements full of rhythm and grace. But the swarm kept coming. Wave after wave, Eli stood in the middle. Hands glowing with golden light, the cube floated above his shoulder. Spinning and whispering, guiding him, he didn't swing a sword or shoot a weapon. Instead, he reached into the minds of the machines, sending pulses of the spark, and where it touched, something paused. As if even the metal remembered life, he moved forward, step by step. Calling Mason's name, finally, he saw him standing at the heart of the nest. Wires crawling up his back, red light shining from his chest. His eyes met Eli's, and for a moment, there was nothing but silence. "Mason," Eli said, "you're not gone. I know you. You used to fix engines with me, sneak into movies, laugh when no one else did." Mason's body twitched. The red in his eyes flickered. "I remember. But they're inside. They won't let go," he said. His voice layered with static. "Then take my hand," Eli said. "Let me share the spark." The machines screamed. The swarm felt the danger. They rushed toward Eli. But Leora and the others held them back. Eli stepped into the light and placed his hand on Mason's chest. The cube glowed brighter than ever, and the spark jumped like lightning between them. In that moment, the darkness cracked. The wires burned away, the metal hissed, and Mason fell to his knees. Gasping, his eyes turned blue again, full of pain and tears. "You pulled me out," he said, voice shaking. "You didn't give up. I couldn't," Eli said. Helping him up, "You're my friend." Suddenly, the towers began to collapse. The swarm had lost control. With Mason free and the spark awakened, the connection broke. Machines fell still, lights faded, and the sky slowly returned to its natural blue. The battle was over. Back at the town, the people cheered when they saw the group return. Mason walked beside Eli, wrapped in Draxen cloth, silent but alive. The mayor shook Eli's hand. The sheriff nodded with respect. Children ran out to greet the tigers, fearless now. That night, a great fire was lit at the edge of the desert. The Draxen sang songs of honor and survival. Eli sat beside Leora, the wind gently playing with her hair. She looked at him and smiled. "You did more than save a friend. You saved your world." Eli shook his head. "I just gave water to someone who needed it, and that," she said, "is how all great things begin." The leader of the Draxen approached with a glowing orb in her hand. "It is time for us to return to the stars," she said. "But one may stay, if she chooses." Leora looked at Eli, her eyes soft. "Do you want me to go?" Eli stared at the sky, then at her, then at the land he had once thought was small and silent. Now it was full of stories, of life, of connection. "No," he said, "I want you to stay, not because I need saving, but because this place feels more alive with you in it." She nodded. Taking his hand, the tribe boarded their ships, lifting into the sky with fire and wind. But Leora remained, standing beside the man who carried the spark. The stars above were quiet, but not silent. The cube floated high in the air one last time, casting soft light over the earth. Then it faded, its job complete, and in the quiet of the desert, as a new wind blew across the sand, Eli and Leora watched the night. not as strangers, but as a promise kept.